Well, normally we kick this off with a yeehaw and a howdy, but this time, boys, that's right. That's right. Because if you look down right below me, look who's back, baby. The Blitz crew is back in action. We got my man Jason. We got my man George. Blitz crew riding back in full style. Alex, we got the full crew here, guys. What is happening? We'll start with you, Alex, though, because you're our veteran. You're our guy over here. So what's going on, man? How we doing this evening? I'm excited. This got me all kinds of pumped up here.
No, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk some trades. We took a little hiatus, been kind of busy, so it's good to jump back in, especially because we were doing the Blitz every Sunday, like taking 2 weeks off, just like I've been itching for it. So let's get into it, man.
That's it right there. Yeah, it was a little bit of a hiatus. I kind of got a little bit packed with a side job thing there, and it's looking like, man, that's going to continue for a while. But we'll always have the Thursdays off. Then the first Saturday of every month. That was the two things I stipulated in my contract. So the T2 TD&D will continue to go on as well. So what's up, Jason? What's going on, man? It's been a long time since I've got to say that on air. Oh, God, it feels good to say it again. What is happening, my brother?
It's weird. It has been a whole year since I've been on a Blitz show with you, and yet we both have continued to do Blitz shows.
It's crazy.
But it is good to be back with my boy Mike. Good to be on with Alex, second time, and back with George. I won't say it's good, but I'm back with him.
Well, if you notice, Brett Favre also has a Blitz show. And, dude, I looked it up, and there's like 55 other Blitz shows out there. But really, there's only one, and we all know the one to watch, and it's this one right here, especially because we got George Reed down in the corner. George, what's happening, man? Missed you, brother.
Mr. Mike, Mr. Man. Hey, I haven't seen you this excited since, since the Denver Broncos traded for Russell Wilson.
Oh, buddy, that is a big deal right there, right? We got a little bit of news to touch on there with that. Yeah, the Broncos signed Russell Wilson. Man, it's good to be a Broncos fan again. It's nice that they're actually possibly going to be competitive. We'll see what happens with Russell Wilson. We don't know because with that much time behind the offensive line, he might be really bad. We don't know. Maybe his key to success was being able to throw the ball in less than 1 second. So we'll go ahead and just get this started. What this is, guys, is we just go ahead and we go over these trades that we're seeing all over Twitter. A lot of times we're getting tagged in these things, and they're asking us what we think. So we'll get started with the first one with things I don't have. He says, who wins this trade? It's 12-man league. We got a 103, a 108, a 111, and Justin Fields for Patrick Mahomes. I'm assuming we're talking super flex.
Yeah, I would have to think it's a super flex with all those first. Wow, that's a haul. But I love Patrick Mahomes. I guess it would really depend on my team structure. This would be one of those ones because if you're rebuilding, that's a pretty good haul. And like if Pat Mahomes is like one of your few pieces that you have, that's really worth anything. That's a pretty good haul. A nice young quarterback in Fields who, I think he's the real deal. I think he just needs to, get his feet underneath him in Chicago there. But, that's a lot of first-round picks. I know those two are kind of later, but I still think, for a rebuilding team, I'd probably go the Field side. But otherwise, I'd probably take Patty.
What do you think, George?
I kind of agree with Alex. As somebody who has Patrick Mahomes in 2 leagues now, 2 Dynasty leagues, man, it would be.
Oh.
That's George saying it would be awesome, is what he said right there. And then he ran out of the room. And that happened so fast that the camera can't even catch him.
Well, it's not that. It's storming here, and I kind of live out in the woods. And my Wi-Fi is just right now. It's giving me fits. And I don't mean fits magic.
Kind of like.
Yes.
Right.
So what I was saying before my internet decided to shit on me is I'm glad they got Justin Fields. Like I couldn't do this trade and for Pat Mahomes and not get a quarterback back. My only problem with it is this is like it's considered widely by most, and I'm going to say experts, as a weaker draft. And that there's a huge drop off in projected talent after about the 106. So unless you're like, I'm gonna guess the first 3 picks in a super flex league are gonna be Bryce Hall, Malik. I think it's Wilson is his last name, or Willis. That's it, and London. So after those, like. You're going to get one of
101 in my league.
I don't know about that.
Garrett Wilson before Drake.
I don't know. It's a lot of it's going to depend on landing spots, but I do like London. I like Drake London a lot.
As long as Treylon Burks lands in the NFL, I'm probably drafting him to 101.
wait till the gas mask photo of him comes out. There we go. He's going to get tonsiled. But no, I almost wish that 108 was a 106 to make me feel more comfortable about it. I personally, as a Mahomes owner, I wouldn't not have done this trade. I would have at least wanted a first next year. Get rid of that 108, get rid of that 111. Give me a first next year, and I'd be a lot happier with the trade.
The thing I struggle with here for the guy who's getting Mahomes is that if you have the 103, 108, and 111, you've traded a lot of assets away. So it makes it hard for me to think that he has enough on his roster with all those draft picks. Now maybe, who knows? Maybe he got lucky with, trading the right guy to somebody who's overzealous and it wasn't that big of a deal. But like, I wonder if you have the 103, 108, 111 and Justin Fields, which was a first pick last year. You got to wonder if you have a team where Mahomes is going to make that difference. But I can't help but, like, with what George said and what the experts are saying with like how weak this draft class is, like, you take that Mahomes, he's going to be a top 4, top 5 quarterback in a super flex league, and you go forward with it. I didn't see a lot out of Justin Fields last year. It makes me think that he's going to take that giant leap forward this year. So I do want Pat Mahomes in this trade. But it is a haul. I probably would have tried to get someone next year.
So I looked up.
Oh, go ahead, George.
Sorry, Mike. I looked up Patrick Mahomes' fantasy points scored for the last since 2018. I didn't have what he scored last year, but he had 516. That was his big year. The year he went out, threw for over 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. 2019, he went.
That's amazing.
Those stats are incredible.
I never would have guessed.
I mean, like, so for me, I'll just go ahead and piggyback off this since George is in probably just got struck by lightning.
I might have. I'm telling you, dude. I've done 5 podcasts since coming over to Toys for Titles. This is the first time I've ever had any issues with the Wi-Fi. It sucks.
That's what I'd say. It's probably because you're in your dungeon and you can't admit that you're on the Blitz crew. It's okay.
No, but his fantasy points per year, outside of his, record-setting 516-point year, has honestly it's been good. But I think he's slightly overrated as far as fantasy goes, as far as scoring, because he's putting up good numbers, but they're not anywhere remotely close to what he did in 2018. I'm almost inclined to start shopping him to see if I can get, like I said, a 103 Justin Fields and a pick next year. I might trade Mahomes.
See, and I feel like I'm sitting on I agree completely with the positionary picks here. Like, after the 105, 106, I'm kind of out on this draft. And so getting the 108 and the 111 in this isn't that sweetening of a pot. If I do make this trade, I think the very first thing I'm going to do with that 108 and 111 is I'm going to try to turn those into the 102, 104, somewhere in that region.
Yep.
If I can, even if it costs me Justin Fields, although I do have a little bit higher expectations on Justin Fields' future than most do. I think he's going to probably be okay, but I feel like Patrick Mahomes is a game changer on your lineup. Definitely get me the Patrick Mahomes side. of this trade. So the next one up, we got Zach39 Russ. He says, who wins this trade? Aaron Jones and Mike Williams for the 2022 112 and a 2023 late first. And Jason, we'll go ahead and start off with you this time.
I am going Aaron Jones, Mike Williams on this one, both back with their teams. Aaron Jones was never leaving, but Aaron Jones to me was always about Aaron Rodgers. And for the people that think that Aaron Jones is going to be usurped this year by another running back, it's going to be a 50-50 split. But Aaron Jones catches the ball out of the backfield, always seems to find the end zone. Aaron Jones is going to be good for another couple of years, and especially with Rodgers coming back. And then Mike Williams going back with Herbert. Yes, please. I will take those two over, like we said, a drastic fall off after 6. And now you're talking about 12 in this year's draft. And now I know 2023 is supposed to be better, but, they were saying that about last year's draft, and you could find talent at the end. But by the time you got into like 112, 2-1, like there was a huge fall off there. Instead of that, take a guy like Mike Williams who can give you huge games, a guy like Aaron Jones who can give you huge games, and back with their teams, back with quarterbacks that are significant for both players. So I'm taking the Jones, Mike Williams side on that trade.
Yeah, I don't know. I was getting at the late last year. I was in the late second. I was getting trash players like Elijah Moore and things like that. So, it just goes to show you any draft falls anyway. But I'm definitely going to take proven over promise in this one. What about you, George?
Yeah, Jason, I can't disagree with anything Jason said. Give me Aaron Jones, give me Mike Williams, and it's not particularly close.
Yep, I agree. What about you, Alex? You on the same page?
4 for 4.
4 for 4. Yep. Nope. I think you're winning that with some good talent right there. Nay username. I've got Aaron Jones and thinking about adding AJ Dillon. Is it worth it? He's got a 2022 110. AJ Dillon for a 2022 109. So he also has the one. So he's got the 109 and 110 as it stands right now.
I'm not trading a first, even in this draft, for AJ Dillon.
Really?
Yeah,
I am.
I'm not doing it.
I'm taking this trade.
Definitely. Yeah, like without hesitation.
The only thing that bugs me here is that he's also got Aaron Jones. So now you're going to bank on both of them hitting every week. That's what makes it tough for me.
I think if you're doing anything in this situation, you're securing a backfield that's going to be very productive, especially like when we talk about Green Bay starts getting cold in October, and it definitely gets like icy by November.
And especially if they don't add any other pass catchers, which I doubt that they draft someone because we've been waiting for them to draft wide receiver.
Would they? They're going to draft a quarterback in the first round just to screw with Jordan Love.
Yeah,
that's got to be his. So that's got to be in his contract, though, right? Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what's available. We're taking a wide receiver in the first. That's got to be in that new contract.
Nah.
I don't know. You put $200 million. You could probably put anything you want in that contract. He'll just sign it. Like, yep.
Yeah, they'll probably take one. I say this every year, but I always look for them to take one in the second round because I just don't. They usually take defense in the first round, and it's worked out very well the last couple of years. They got Rashawn Gary, they got Eric Stokes, so I'm okay with it. But then they still don't get wide receivers either. Like I wanted them to take Mims 3 years ago, whenever that was. In like the third round, he dropped to the third round. I was like, why aren't we taking him? But especially if they don't take another pass catcher, I know Matt LaFleur's plan is to, keep it on the ground as much as possible. That's what sets up all the play action, and they've been doing a good job at getting both Aaron Jones, especially because they have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in there. They can just keep rotating them in and out, and just doing all kinds. And AJ Dillon catches the ball just fine out of the backfield too. He had a bunch of receptions this year. So, I'm okay with rolling both of those guys out. I would prefer having another RB2 on my roster to take that spot and playing Dillon as like a flex. But I would still probably trade the first for AJ Dillon here.
Yeah, especially a late 110 like that. I can definitely part with that. So like I said, at worst case, handcuff. At best case, you could be looking at like a Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman situation like was in Atlanta. Or, like Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon if we're looking at anything more recent. Although those guys didn't seem the same. I'm telling you, I had Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman on one team. and it felt like garbage every Sunday when I'd be putting that in my RB1 and my RB2 spot. But on Tuesday, it felt pretty damn good every single time. So,
what I like to do with these is I like to put names to that pick. So he's got the 110 too. So he's asking about the 109 for AJ Dillon. Let me ask you guys this. Would you rather have Chris Olave or AJ Dillon?
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon.
Ken Walker or AJ Dillon?
AJ Dillon, but we're close on both of those.
Walker.
George Pickens or AJ Dillon?
Pickens for sure.
Johan Dotson or AJ Dillon?
Dillon.
Okay. So you guys are a lot higher than AJ Dillon than I am, is what it appears to be. Because what it is, I pulled up the CBS mock draft with all their quote unquote experts. And I read the picks that they made from pick 8, 9, 10, and 11. And Ken Walker, who went at 9, everybody pretty much said they prefer Ken Walker over AJ Dillon, and I would as well. And he went at the 9th pick. So you'd be, according to this mock, now not every league I know is going to fall this way, but according to this mock, potentially you just traded Ken Walker for AJ Dillon.
We can all act like experts all day.
But yeah, give me the.
None of those.
Oh, I know. I was just using it for reference. That's why I took. Yeah, that's why I took the 4 picks, not just isolated on that one. It was the 2 above and 2 below. But yeah, I like to put the names to them, and I would prefer almost all those rookies over AJ Dillon, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Walker's the only one in that group that I would take over him because I just think he's going to get a starting role by himself on some team. But I also have Walker as my RB2 in this class. So
I'm starting to reconsider a lot of my 106 and 107 and 108 picks because if I can get Pickens at the 107 or 108, dude, I'm happy with that. Like I love Pickens.
Yeah, I think Walker was enticing because it was actually running back for running back, which makes it a lot easier to see.
Yeah, that one for sure. Like most of those times, I'm going to take a running back with an established role over a wide receiver, unless like landing spot for Olave would definitely
it matters.
Sway me one way or the other. Yeah, I think, but for the most part, I probably want the proven back over those guys at this point.
Yeah, and the problem with talking about landing spot is a lot of these trades want to happen before we know where the landing spot for these guys are, right? So, it's okay to say landing spot, and honestly, if you can get away with waiting until you're on the clock with 109 for that AJ Dillon pick, fine. But like you could, if you want AJ Dillon, you could lose that pick because the people that your trade partner is looking for is already gone. So,
your draft pick will do nothing but gain value between now and the draft. So
yeah,
hold it as long as you can.
And so that's the real problem. If you feel like you're going to lose AJ Dillon because he'll go trade it for the guy that's got 111, maybe you got to pull the trigger. But up at this point, we have no idea where these guys are going. So it's just going to be a crapshoot. Like we're all happy with some of these guys until they end up with like the Jets.
I'll draft them if it's on the Jets. I learned a rough lesson with AJ Brown because remember when AJ Brown went to the Titans, everybody was off him. Everybody was.
Yeah.
And AJ Brown turned into a freaking stud. So I don't care if they go to the Jets. I don't care if they go to the Jaguars. The talent doesn't change. The situation does.
Yeah.
So I'll take a talented player that goes to a shitty situation. I've got no issue with that.
The problem with that is how many of these guys, especially in 8, 9, or 10, do you see as talented as AJ Brown?
It depends. Like, I don't know. AJ Brown's a superstar. There could be somebody that comes out that you think is good, and then they just come out and they end up dominating, and you don't know exactly how good they are. That's what I'm saying. If they're coming out and they're talented, I'm not going to shit on them because of the position.
I'm just saying
all
we
I can
knew.
say here is it's all fun and games until you're a Jaguar. Okay. And
Right.
that's when life gets real for everybody right there. Let's move on to this next one, guys. We got Bro Prano LOL. Let's call it that.
Bropenol.
Bropenol. Dynasty Superflex 10-team half PPR trade. Jefferson for Joe Burrow. What are we doing here, boys? George, why don't you kick this one off? What do you want to do here? Who are you taking?
This is easy. I want the quarterback, especially being a super flex league. Take the quarterback.
Okay. Jason, you got an argument?
No, it has to be. And honestly, if I'm trading Jefferson for Burrow, if I'm on that Jefferson side, or if I'm on that, if I'm on the Jefferson side, I'm getting Jefferson. I want a crappy quarterback back. Like, this is super flex. You got to have a quarterback back in these trades. So I'm taking the Burrow side for sure.
Yeah, either that or a pick. What about you, Alex? Do you got anything to add to that?
No, I mean, the only way I would keep Jefferson over Burrow was if I had like Josh Allen and Dak Prescott already or something, like that, along those lines.
Yeah, I'd have to be super stacked at quarterback to make this trade. Although I can tell you there's very few people that are higher on Justin Jefferson than I am. I mean, I love that guy's talent set and what he can do. And I mean, honestly, I don't really care who his quarterback is. I was just thinking about that because we were talking about nobody being available. Kirk Cousins on the Colts would be something else. But, people keep talking about that, like everybody going to the Colts. What really do the Colts have to offer in the wide receiver department outside of Michael Pittman Jr.? I mean, Pittman's awesome.
Paris Campbell.
You have a tight end. You have Jonathan Taylor running the football.
What
are you saying to me, man?
No, what you have is an offensive line that won't kill your quarterback.
What's that?
Yeah, but if you don't have anyone to throw to, what's the difference?
Yeah, I mean,
your guy
that's the
has
thing. But
5 seconds to throw.
Matt, you don't think like Russell Wilson would be so happy in Indianapolis where he wouldn't get murdered?
Russell Wilson belongs in Denver. Okay. Russell Wilson belongs in Denver, Jason, and I will not tell you again.
Yes, sir.
He is home.
Yes,
Russell
sir.
Wilson is home.
That
would have been a good steal. Like I said, John Elway was not messing around when he saw Aaron Rodgers sign that check. I mean, before the S was dry on Rodgers, he called Russ Wilson and had him signed up.
If I can get a top 5 to 8 quarterback in a 10-team league super flex, I'm going to do it because the odds of me being able to draft another one of them are not very good. Like, I have to have just a really bad team. So I'll be able to get another stud wide receiver. I don't know when the next time you'll get an opportunity to get a young top 5 to 8 quarterback like Joe Burrow. That's
all
the
those
reason.
weapons.
Yeah, no, and that guy's got a lot, and he's got his man Jamar Chase to throw to the whole entire time.
His shower buddy.
And let's say worst case scenario, something happens to Chase. T. Higgins ain't a bad number 2.
Tyler Boyd's not a bad number 3.
Boyd's not a bad 3. You put Tyler Boyd on most teams, he's a wide receiver 1.
Wait till they have Gronkowski. Wait till they have Gronkowski at tight end next year.
Yeah, that would be insane right there. But I'm a big Uzuma guy. I like me some Uzuma. This one has a lot of moving pieces. We got at Dynasty Trade FF. He says the trader made a couple deals in Superflex. He traded away Josh Allen, Miles Sanders, Rondell Moore, 102, 107, the 111. He received Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, and Travis Kelce. What side of this are you guys on here?
I want the side he traded away.
Yeah, I want Josh Allen, Miles Sanders. Okay, you can leave Miles Sanders, Rondell Moore off of this completely.
Right.
You traded away the number 1 quarterback in Dynasty.
Correct.
For older play. Justin Jefferson's young, T. Higgins young, but you got Adams who's coming into another contract good. He's back with Rodgers, but he's a little bit older, right? Like you can't trade away Josh Allen and not get a quarterback back. Now, again, this is it's prefaced to say that, like, okay, you have Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, and whoever else. And another good quarterback, and like maybe you have but if you're trading away the number 1 quarterback in Dynasty, you got to get a lot back. And he loaded up on wide receivers, but I don't see running back in there.
He went all in on a win now. I would like to see what he still has at quarterback, but he went all in to win right now. And while I'm all for going all in to win right now, I like Devontae Adams, but as he's mentioned, he's getting up there. I love Travis Kelce, but he's a 32-year-old tight end. Those wheels are going to be starting to fall off very, very soon. You just gave up Josh Allen, the 102 and the 107 is a lot to give up.
Kelsey's got like 15 more years in him, dude. He's good.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna it with Jefferson, Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, and Kelce. I'm assuming he already has decent running backs if he can give up Miles Sanders, even though I'm not a fan of Miles Sanders to begin with.
Miles Sanders is garbage.
He's garbage. But I actually, with that type of caliber, wide receiver core and tight end, you could have Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins and still be winning your weeks. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you're giving up Josh Allen, who's going to be putting up more points than those other quarterbacks probably combined over the year. But, Rondale Moore, whoever you're going to get at the 102 and the 107, because like we were saying, 107, 111, like that's when it's starting to fall off. Those guys probably aren't going to be studs right away. You could really make a push for the championship with the guys he traded for. So I actually like the Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, and T. Higgins and Kelce side.
I'm going to say the Josh Allen side every time. I don't care what else. I mean, you're set up with the 102, 107, 111. I mean, depending on what your league is, like whoever has that 101, if they're a quarterback needy team, and you're definitely going to get Burks. I mean, I really like
I want to point out
what's that?
Go ahead, Mike. No, go ahead. I thought you were done.
I was going to say the 102, I think you're going to get Treylon Burks with Josh Allen. But like you said, I mean, depending on who your quarterbacks and running backs are, now Miles Sanders might as well be Myles Gaskins, in my opinion. And we know how I feel about that. So, I mean, I do like both sides of this because you really are getting stacked up and loaded up on receivers here. And you're getting the number one tight end in the game. So, I mean, that does shore up two positions. So,
I'm guessing this team that traded away Josh Allen, though, wasn't very good or didn't have a lot of depth because they had the 102 and the 202, which means they were the second worst team in the league. So
enough.
So, I mean, you may have definitely boosted your starting lineup, but you don't have much depth behind you. And that's why I wouldn't have done this trade. If this was a team that was full-blown rebuilding and they went all in to win now, even though they weren't all in to win now team.
Yeah, fair enough.
They might not necessarily be rebuilding, though, just because they were crap. I have a team that I won the championship with this year that everyone just got hurt last year. So I had the 101, but I had Zeke, Mike Evans, Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones. Like I had a stacked ass team, but everybody was hurt last year. So I ended up being the worst team, and I just started tanking because there was no point, at that time. So
yeah, I mean, maybe they had Derrick Henry, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, whatever, and a combination of all that, and couldn't get through this year, but have something there for next year. I don't know. It just I had in Superflex, quarterbacks are the thing.
They're the hardest to acquire.
They're the hardest to acquire and the easiest to give up. And I think this trade would have been fine for me if they had gotten a quarterback in return. Any quarterback.
Yeah.
Even Trubisky. We got Monctar.
True goat ski. It's true goat ski, Mike.
We got really 10-point PPR Dynasty trade 2022-105 or Schultz in the 2022-109. What are you thinking there, Alex?
Oh, that's a toughie because I guess Schultz, he got franchised, so he's going to be back. But I think I want that 105 with the drop off towards the 109. I mean, he was, George was naming off some names that I wouldn't mind so much, but I don't think they add enough to where I'd rather have, like Garrett Wilson or Jameson Williams, or there's a couple guys up there that up at that end. That's a perfect spot for like Kenneth Walker for me. So I think I want the 105. I think there's going to be way more value there than what you're going to get out of the 109 and Schultz.
George, do you still have that mock draft pulled up?
I do.
So let's do 4th, 5th, and 6th pick against Schultz.
All right. So the 4th pick was Treylon Burks.
Burks all day.
The 5th pick was Isaiah Spiller.
Spiller all day.
And the 6th pick was Rashard White.
I like Rashad White too. I like Walker more, so he would be in that spot for me over Rashad White. But yeah, I'll take any of those guys over Schultz and whoever I can get at that 109.
I'd take Schultz in the 109, and the reason why is I fully expect Amari Cooper to be let go. The backup behind Schultz, Dalton, whatever the hell his name is, it doesn't matter. You want to know why?
Blake Jarwin.
Blake Jarwin doesn't matter. You know why? He's irrelevant. He's
also hurt.
He's hurt.
He's also hurt.
He's hurt. It's a career-threatening injury. He's irrelevant. So Schultz right back into the starting lineup. He's going to be a top 7, top 8 tight end. If you needed a tight end, that solves your problem. Schultz is your set it, forget it. And I don't mind moving back 4 spots to shore up one of the hardest positions in fantasy to absolutely shore up. I'm perfectly fine moving back to the 9. We discussed it earlier. Chris Olave at 8, Ken Walker at 9, George Pickens at 10. Like, I don't see, along with adding Schultz, I don't see an issue with missing out on Treylon Burks or Isaiah Spiller or Rashard White. Like, I'll miss out on those guys and be perfectly happy to land Ken Walker and Dalton Schultz. Like, that's, for me, that's fine. I'm completely okay with that. Give me the player and the pick. I'm only moving back 4 spots.
Got it. No, I like it. No, I'm definitely on the Dalton Schultz side here, just because I feel like I do like the 105. Again, like I said, the 106 and later is where I start kind of getting a little bit sketchy about these. But again, it's a dart throw, and I mean, especially now, this is the time to be making trades for those higher draft picks because we don't know where these guys are landing and how important they are. So we're trying to get those 104s, 105s, 106s, and things like that. But if I can get a good solid tight end that I know is going to start on a team that I know is going to throw to the tight end, especially in the red zone, sign me up. And then a 109, if I can get Pickens at the 109, which is crazy talk. I'm a very, very happy camper right there. The last trade we're going to be talking about tonight, we got Josh Allen, this is a crazy trade right here. Would you trade Josh Allen for Trubisky, Mayfield, Tua, and A.J. Dillon? No, and I think, you're going to go big or go home, but I'm taking, and I'm telling you, I love Mayfield next year, but I'm on the Josh Allen side, and it's probably not because I'm a homer this time.
Yeah, that's 2 quarterbacks in Mayfield and Trubisky who probably won't be playing or at least starting next year. And same thing honestly could be said for Tua. Like, this is a make it or break it year for him, and then a backup running back in A.J. Dillon. Come on, give me Josh Allen. This isn't close.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Allen for me. And again, like George said, and it's funny because on the last one I said, give me any quarterback with that trade. Now I do it. Well, this is not that trade. On that trade, if you had thrown in Trubisky or Mayfield or Tua or something, maybe I would have done it. On this trade where you're giving me all 3 and A.J. Dillon, no.
Yeah. So I found this one, and the reasoning behind it was because Josh Allen, it's a super flex league, and Josh Allen was his only quarterback, so he wanted quarterback depth. But Josh Allen is going to score more points than all 3 of those guys combined next year.
All 4 of them combined.
Yeah. I even put that out. I was arguing on Twitter about it, but I'm like, that's the dumbest reason ever to just get depth for a position that that one guy is gonna outscore everybody else. Like what? You might as well just put anybody in your super flex at that
Well,
point. Like,
what's that term? A mile wide and 1 inch deep?
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is. It's a mile wide, but 1 inch deep.
Yeah, it was shocking, and he was fighting everybody about it too, and how he's like I'm screenshotting this for receipts for all you guys, and I'm like bro, you need to take a step off your soapbox and settle down a little bit.
All you need to know about Mitch Trubisky is they're talking about signing him to the Giants, where then he will have to compete with Daniel Jones.
Oh
no, I'm talking about Mr. Trubisky having. Look, if he was worth anything, there wouldn't be a competition.
Yeah.
So here's.
No, go ahead, George.
Sorry, I was gonna say here's my thing on this, right? Okay, you only have one quarterback, right? Josh Allen is your only quarterback. That's fine. Here's the thing, though. Next year's NFL draft is loaded with quarterbacks. Go with your one quarterback. Next year, go ahead and draft Bryce Young. Go ahead and draft Stroud. Like, those guys are going to be available at the start of the draft next year. Go ahead and pick one of those guys to pair with Josh Allen, and you're doing yourself a world so much better. Your world's going to be so much better because now you're going to have two freaking stud quarterbacks versus three guys who potentially might not even be starters next year. And now you're going to be left with 0 quarterbacks instead of 1.
Well, yeah, and it's just a pure loss of value too. Like, you have the overall number one super flex asset, and then you're giving it up for a bunch of like bottom barrel guys. Like, it just doesn't make sense at all to me. But some people need that security of depth, even though it's crappy depth, I guess. I don't know. But I'm totally with you. There's plenty of quarterbacks and spots.
A lot of people are
that they can land that they're going to be viable. Because a lot of these teams that are signing Carson Wentz and wherever Jimmy G goes, and and these teams that aren't going to get good quarterbacks, well, that's what they're looking forward to next year. They're not
the Lions, the Falcons, potentially the Jets, depending on how things work with Zach Wilson. Although I think they'll probably give him a little bit more time.
The Steelers,
the Steelers, yeah. There's going to be teams next year that are going to be needing quarterbacks, and that trade has me triggered.
Yeah, I do. That's why I had to.
It's got me triggered. Like, listen. It's a dynasty league. You don't have to win and compete every year. Take the L this year and move forward with a better position for next year. That's not difficult to do. Oh, I'm so
like, I mean, the idea of it is you want to try to catch up on the regression of somebody and get ahead of it. And I mean, it's just, I don't see Josh Allen regressing for the next few years at least. I mean, I understand that he might be getting into some situations if he continues to put his body out on the line the way he does, but for sure, definitely want to get him on that. Guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and shout out these boys. Our boys in Nonstop to Cairo. They're on tour in a city near you. Go show those guys some love. Follow their Facebook page at Nonstop to Cairo. Good friends of the show. We definitely love those guys. They are cool enough to give us their great music to start it all out. Make sure you go to toilstitles.com, videos, articles, and NFL fantasy content. I'm telling you, some of the best articles in the world are on there. We got some of the best writers on that team. Definitely want to get in there and check that out. Follow us on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/toilstitles. Get on there. I'm telling you, $1 a month gets you in the Discord. Discord's always popping. We're always having a good time, always talking about football. We kind of been in another chat, too, with some Dynasty folks. And we've been killing it, man. I'm telling you, we have a lot of fun, a lot of good conversation, a lot of things going on there. So make sure you get on that. Guys, do you have anything to add before we go ahead and close this out?
This show's going to
I'm glad I triggered George.
Yes,
Sorry.
yeah.
This show's going to trigger me every Thursday night. This show's going to trigger me every Thursday night. I don't know why I do this to myself.
Triggering is what we do best, man. I'm telling you what. That's why we make this show, because we love talking about these trades that Get under your skin because there's a lot of them that are so close in value. And then you got to run across things like that, where it's like, man, it doesn't matter how many players you throw as long as you keep, like, I can throw 8 pieces of crap at you and you're not going to return me a piece of gold. That doesn't matter. It's not quantity versus quality in the fantasy football world.
Doesn't matter.
That's one of those dynasty trade calculator trades where you
Right.
just keep throwing. Okay, so I'm gonna throw Des Bryant in there because he's worth half a point.
Right.
And I'm gonna, and just keep throwing half a points at you until it gets to your Josh Allen.
Ooh, Megatron's still worth 3. I'll add Megatron.
Yeah, here's the 310, the 309, the 306. That's got to be 4 points or something.
That's it right there. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us again this evening, and you guys have yourselves a good night, good weekend, and all that fun stuff, and we will see you all next week on the Flippy Floppy.